Hey, what is going on, guys? And a very good morning to you all, as at the time we are doing this stream, we're live just a couple of minutes removed from 9 a.m. on Saturday, October 6, 2018. Lee Sanders here, a very somewhat tired Lee Sanders, and that's despite the fact that after I got home from work and I did a little bit of voiceovers, I did a little bit of video editing, I actually was able to take a little bit of a nap for about 4 hours. I've pretty much been up since about maybe 9 o'clock Friday night, and here we are now. All these hours passed. We just saw WWE Super Showdown from Australia go off the air. Come on. Those of you that, I don't know, maybe you woke up at your usual time and you were able to check out the event and you had the day off, or however the situation was, you just ended up checking it out like most people. Sound off. Want to know what you had thought about this event coming to us from Australia. Now, you know, WWE, they've made their presence felt in the Australia area for many years. Many years they've done tours, but this was the first time in WWE history that a live event, a live WWE pay-per-view event had came to us from Australia. And I gotta say, overall, I thought it was okay. I thought it was a pretty solid event. It definitely had a Summerslam B-roll type of vibe to it. It had a Summerslam Part 2 vibe. I'm not really sure if you guys had kind of picked up that same vibe as well, but that's honestly how I kind of felt, especially when you saw the beautiful arena that WWE had this event taking place at. And I gotta tell you, all the sights and sounds that they were showing us throughout the broadcast. It came to us from Melbourne, Australia, and the venue was the Melbourne Cricket Ground. Pretty famous arena. They actually had packed in, get this, 70,309. Yes, 70,309 were in attendance for this event. You talk about damn good. I'm telling you, with good numbers like that, it's safe to say that maybe in about 5 to 7 years, might be even way lesser than that, this could be a situation where WrestleMania, you never know, guys, it may be the home to Australia. So we'll see how that goes. But I mean, if you're a fan of WWE, especially from the standpoint of you would love to see WWE more and more take their major 4 pay-per-views out on the road, in particular do them outside of the United States, then you probably were ecstatic to see what had came about from this Australia event. I gotta tell you that, you know, a lot of the matches that was on this card, I honestly could have done without. We're gonna kind of go a little bit back and forth, right? So I guess we can kind of tackle the way the pay-per-view had ended, right? Last time ever. So you think, right? So it is Triple H taking on The Undertaker one last time. This is pretty much it. These guys, they've been locking it up off and on for 16 years now. Very first time that they locked it up was in '96, and Undertaker has somehow, no matter what type of match it is, it doesn't matter if it's a no DQ, if it's a hardcore, a steel cage, whatever kind of match it's been over the past 16 years, somehow The Undertaker has always gotten the best of the game, of the cerebral assassin. Now, for those of you that maybe want to play the game of the Triple H show, you hear that and you go, well, gee, just kind of going back to when Sting had briefly had that cup of coffee in the WWE, and a lot of people were really anticipating, really looking forward to Sting going over with a victory in the WWE to get off on the good note, on the right footing. Nah, that didn't happen. So when you hear that statistic, I don't know about you guys, but when I hear that statistic going into the main event pay-per-view match, I'm going, shit. It's safe to say somehow Triple H is gonna get this done, but there's going to be controversy, right? Now, I'm already thinking ahead as soon as I hear this fun little statistic that Michael Cole and the gang had put out, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, well, you got to do something. You got to make this now be some type of a no DQ match. You got to somehow set this up in such a way where basically it's going to take two men and a lot of distractions to beat the crap out of the Undertaker. It's got to be a 2-on-1. That's how you got to do it. And sure enough, one of the first things we had heard as the in-ring introductions were being made, we heard that the match was now, never was announced before. That was a nice little twist that they did there, but you kind of saw this a mile away as soon as you heard that stat of Taker, H never beating Taker. You're going, but you hear the stat, this match, per COO Triple H, is now a no disqualification match. And you're going, oh, son of a bitch. Okay, well, let's see how this is going to play up. For me, it was a bit excessive with the booking. I personally felt that they did a little bit too overboard with a lot of the spots, but at the same time, you also, can we be for real? Because I think many people, many of my fellow colleagues, many of my fellow podcasters are probably going to be saying the same thing, that it was over the top booked, right? But when you get right down to the heart of the matter, let's face facts. This is not the same Undertaker. I'm not making excuses. I'm just stating facts. This is not the same Undertaker from, say, 4-5 years ago. All right, this Taker has had some serious surgery since then, and this Taker can do all the rehabbing, and he can be chilling at home for the other 360 days out of the year or whatever. But it just seems like as the years have progressed, every single time he gets in that ring, it seems like he's got to recuperate for much longer before we can potentially even see him again in the ring the next go round. So all that in mind, this is not the same Taker from just a mere 4-5 years ago physically. All right, so I thought that the way that this match was booked, they did a good job in protecting Taker, really properly utilizing his spots so that he's not doing a bit too much from a physical standpoint. Okay, this was pretty much all about Triple H steering this ship. Shawn Michaels, and I gotta say, Shawn Michaels made me laugh many times throughout this match, because Shawn Michaels made me think of WWE 2K. Just pick your favorite game. He just made me think about the fucking manager or the valet that comes out with you. And like, when you add up more points, like you forward more points, you boost up your overall for your manager slash valet. Like, you get to that point where your valet, your manager, they're going to do whatever they need to do. Hey, go get me a mallet from under the apron. Hey, go distract the ref so I can, like, I don't know, maybe do a low blow to my opponent real quick or whatever. Like, Shawn Michaels, just every time you turn around, he was doing all little, just irritating nuisances you would find in a WWE 2K video game. I loved it. I thought that was just hilarious. I still cannot get used to a bald head Shawn Michaels, and I'm quite sure that's probably what my late ex-wife said to me a couple of many years back before she passed. I'm sure that's probably what she said to me when she came home from work one day and she saw me without any hair on my head, and she was like, "Oh my God, what happened?" It's like it took her a while to get used to it. I think we all are still recovering. It's going to take a lot of us a good minute to get used to this whole new Shawn Michaels headdo, but I personally, I think it looks good on him. I mean, can we be honest? He was losing the hair anyway. So what is he supposed to do? He's supposed to keep pushing the long hair, or he's supposed to keep pushing the short hair all the way until he's what, in his 70s or whatever? I say go for it. It looks good on him. It's going to take us a long time though I don't think not that long. I mean, it's one thing. I think it depends. I think it depends. If you're the hardcore Shawn Michaels fan, then yeah, it's going to be a situation where it's going to probably take you several months, because it's not just short hair And then, okay, that's it. I've gone from long hair, now it's short hair. It's basically gone from long hair, hair in a ponytail, short hair, and then just flat out bald. So before you can even adjust to the short hair, it's now just straight up bald. But, you know, life goes on. We all will be all right. It's not the end of the world, people. Seriously, it's not the end of the world. So the psychology of Taker versus Triple H, honestly, it played out exactly the way I thought it was going to play out. I mean, if I'm honestly just being candid and I'm thinking about what came about from the two men, minus all the distractions, when they honestly were just one-on-one, it really was not anything spectacular. I have no choice but to compare it to the other times that Triple H and Undertaker had locked it up. And quite honestly, again, minusing all the distractions from Shawn and Kane and referees being taken out left and right, just putting all that to the side, I would honestly just say what I saw from both of those guys was just below mediocre. Quite honestly, comparing it to the other times they locked it up, in particular the WrestleMania times that they had locked it up, it was, can we be in agreement? It wasn't anything spectacular, right? So, closing moments of Taker, Triple H, we basically saw a situation where at one point Undertaker was getting the upper hand on Triple H. I mean, he was going belligerent with a steel chair. Shawn Michaels kept trying to run in there and say, hey, man, come on. Nah, you don't have to. Come on, man. Seriously. No. And just doing the whole manager thing, just trying to buy Hunter enough time, do what he needed to do and everything. He would give Hunter enough time to recuperate. I remember there was a spine buster involved or something of that nature. Remember there was a pedigree. You thought maybe that was going to be it. You thought maybe that's it, match is over. But we saw Kane grab Triple H's foot, actually pulled him out. That kind of like made the match continue. Triple H eventually fights off Kane, gets back in there, but you know, energy's pretty exhausted, pretty spent. Remember there was one point where Shawn Michaels actually had slid in a sledgehammer to Hunter and was like, this is how you're gonna have to do it. You're pretty much just gonna have to take him out this way, so go for it, right? And from there it was a situation of, okay, well, what's gonna happen here? Who's gonna get to this sledgehammer first? Who's going to make do with the sledgehammer? I remember at one point, Taker did manage to get a hold of the sledgehammer, but Shawn Michaels was able to get right in there. I remember the two of them kind of fought a little bit. I remember Undertaker was getting ready to choke slam Shawn when Hunter came. And then I want to say Kane might have got in there one more time, but I remember down right to the wire leading up to the pinfall, there was definitely sweet chin music, and that was followed up by pedigree, and pretty much 1, 2, 3, Triple H wins that way. And then he's just acting like he's fucking crying, like, there she is, Miss America. I mean, he, you know, like he won a fucking pageant or something. I'm like, come on, dude, like seriously. Quick observation. I want to see how many of you guys were paying attention with regards to this particular match. There was one spot, and I don't know if you guys had caught it, but I want to know if you did. Sound off in the chat, because I am seeing what you guys are saying. Good morning to you guys that's checking this out right now, which is, let's see, who's in the chat here? We got Phoenix so far. We got Jerome. Good morning to you. We got Sarah. Who else we got in there? I miss anybody? We got Prem. Good morning to you guys, and everybody else is going to be checking this out shortly live and or on demand. But did anybody check out the spot where Undertaker and Triple H were fighting in the crowd? And it had got to that point where it looked as though Taker was supposed to do some type of a spot where Triple H kind of like over the back, basically send Triple H flying over his shoulder, and H basically lands on his back. And then there was like this weird, that's the spot I'm talking about, but what made it so weird in the crowd section for them, there was some type of metal structure, and somehow at the last second Triple H just no-sold that spot. like Taker's like he looks like he's getting ready to just go full effect and just Triple H over his shoulder, and Triple H just no sells the hell out of it. He doesn't even go flying over Taker's shoulder, and that's because H realizes what the hell is there. He realizes he's going to be seriously injured, and at first you're kind of like, damn, what happened? Like, is Hunter okay? He got injured or something? What the hell is going on? But then when you see, you're like, he's no selling, because, yeah, that's pretty freaking dangerous. Who's the goof that missed that spot right there? And you actually see Undertaker, he actually cuts a little bit of a nasty smile, kind of like, who messed up right here? And the weirdest thing I ever saw, and they never did really kind of recover from that spot, I personally felt. They never really did. But I would say that match, honestly, the minute that you heard the introduction for it being a no disqualification, it pretty much was over after that. But with this whole last time ever, not quite. Because the way this basically ended, we had Triple H, Shawn Michaels, they're both hugging it out like good old bros and everything. Again, like Triple H won the Miss America pageant or whatever. And we see good sportsmanship. I'll go that route. We saw good sportsmanship from the Game, who basically walks on over to Undertaker and extends a hand. And Undertaker, he still has a sledgehammer in his hand, and, you know, he gives it to Hunter, and Hunter throws that bad boy out of the ring. And from there, he's like literally extending his hand out to help Undertaker get up. And then we see like this really cool embrace between Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Kane, Taker, and you're like, oh, okay, it's kind of like end of an era part 2. Okay, this is kind of nice. All right, we're going off like this. Okay, cool. And you have the fireworks and all that, just pew, 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 all that silly little crap. And then the next thing you know, you see Kane and Taker at the same time. They attack Shawn and Triple H. I mean, laid those guys out real good. I mean, in particular, you got to go as far as what went down with Shawn. They actually did a choke slam to Shawn Michaels through the announcer's table. So, I mean, Shawn was definitely taking a couple of spots here and there on this pay-per-view, well, special event. I'm very tempted to say pay-per-view event, but I know it wasn't streaming to pay-per-view outlets, but still, the event, you know, we've seen him since he's been back now. He's been a really good pro, taking his spots and all that. And honestly, just the way that was laid out, as you see Taker and Kane, they're riding off into the sunset, and the pay-per-view event goes off that way. You're going, oh yeah, this is definitely unfinished business right here. Okay, cool. So look, we got the Crown Jewel pay-per-view event. That's going to be coming up on November 2nd. I mean, it's safe to assume that it's going to be Triple H and Shawn Michaels reforming the Generation X to take on the Brothers of Destruction. And honestly, storyline standpoint wise, I don't mind seeing these guys lock it up, tag team versus tag team. I don't mind it from the standpoint of, think about the promo that Undertaker will be able to cut the next time he's out on Raw. He's basically going to be able to say, man, you know, doing that whole embrace thing and all that, like, whatever, man. It's like, how can you celebrate that victory? It's like, you didn't earn it. It took two of you guys to beat the hell out of me. Why do you think I went on ahead and had my little brother Kane with me at ringside? Because I knew you guys were going to come at me with the numbers game. And you did just that. What? And I'm supposed to be a good sport and shake your hand and give you a hug? Man, kick rocks. I'm not rolling. Yeah, so I mean, the psychology of why Taker did what he did, some people would kind of maybe look at that moment and say, uh-oh, it's petty bitch Undertaker again. Because remember, we had that version of Taker that was just running around a couple of years ago, and he was kicking people in the nuts because he was just mean-spirited, like the hell with this, and he's just kicking people in the balls, you know. You thought Shinsuke Nakamura was something. Nah, you know, at one point Undertaker was the original nutcracker not too long ago. But, you know, that was just, yeah, I didn't particularly care for that one. But that was your last time ever, or so we think. But now we see what's going to be happening with that. Kicking off the event, we saw New Day. They had defended the SmackDown tag titles against Cesaro and Sheamus. It was actually Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods that were defending the SmackDown tag titles. No Big E. Big E was there at ringside though, cheering on and everything. So a good opener for the event. I personally felt they did pretty good. Sick ass spot to close out that match too. We saw New Day retain the SmackDown tag titles, but the closing moments, you just couldn't help but feel a little bit bad for Cesaro, because closing moments, right? You see Xavier Woods, he does the backstabber on Cesaro. But it's not like, okay, backstabber and then let it go. I mean, Xavier does the backstabber and he is like still holding on to the back and neck of Cesaro. And I mean, he's just bending Cesaro out like a damn pretzel, chest, stomach, all exposed out in the air. And meanwhile, we have Kofi Kingston. He goes up to the top rope and he actually does a double foot stomp onto the stomach of Cesaro. And like, my God, I was tweeting, and shout out to those of you that I was tweeting with earlier this morning, because somehow, I don't know how we made it, guys, but somehow we did. We actually were able to make it through those hours of that event, because 5 in the morning that this started. Thank God they did not do a pre-show, because some of us really would have just been like, forget about it, you know, because I was curious. I was up and I'm like, let me see if they're going to do it. They did not do a pre-show. I looked at what was on the schedule for the WWE Network, and I think last thing I saw was something about Beast in the East. And then maybe it was Table for 3. I can't remember what it was, but after Beast in the East, there was something that was on for about 30 minutes or an hour, and it was like, oh, okay, well, since they're rolling like this, then yeah, that's pretty good. But what was I getting ready to say there? Actually, give me one quick second here, guys. Bam! So that was a pretty good spot, I would have to say. You felt bad for Cesaro, though. You're looking at Cesaro after he takes the double foot stomp to the stomach, and you're going, Cesaro, if you had anything to eat, brother, it's probably going to be coming out within a few seconds, because I mean, that joint just looked like it hurt him really bad. Second matchup of the night, we saw Charlotte Flair taking on Becky Lynch for the SmackDown Women's title. Whew, good God almighty. You know what? This was the first of a couple of women's matches, and I gotta be brutally honest with you guys. This was as good as it was going to get for the Super Showdown card. And I think those of you that saw it would definitely agree. By the way, we do have a Twitter poll that's up right now. Go check it out when you guys get a chance, and give me a follow as well. Twitter at the RCWR Show, asking you guys, how would you rate the WWE Super Showdown event? And I can just tell you right now, looking at some early results here, bear with me a second, guys, as I'm loading this up. Right now, I am seeing we have about 48% of you are giving it a thumbs up. 21% of you are giving it a thumbs down. Meanwhile, there's 31% of you that didn't watch. I would imagine you probably did not watch because you either wanted to read the results online, you don't plan on checking out the show, or maybe it's a situation where at the time that it was on, you just weren't able to watch it just yet. Maybe you'll be watching it on demand, because that's asking a lot for people to, you know, hey, 5 in the morning. I mean, come on, you're talking about Friday going into the weekend, and most people are probably going to be getting their drink on, you know, driving around, cruising in the city, all that good stuff. So, you know, I would imagine that's probably going to be a little bit lower, maybe before Monday and Tuesday's Raw and SmackDown. We'll wait and see. But Charlotte Flair taking on Becky Lynch, as I had alluded to earlier. There was a couple other women's matches that we had, but it didn't get any better than what we had got with Becky Lynch and Charlotte, really giving us another straight up classic. And I love the aggression. I love the tone that was set in this matchup, because these girls, they've just been, oh my God, I love the way that they've been just going at each other. And I got to give it up to Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch has really been taking it up another notch. And I tell you what, man, I've really just been, I've always been a Becky Lynch fan, but she's really been coming around these past several months. She really has. She's been stepping up her game big time. And the psychology pretty much going into this match, I love the fact that these girls didn't wait for no damn bell to ring and all that. These girls just pretty much were duking it out. And you saw Desperation number 5 really get the best of Becky Lynch. From the standpoint of Becky Lynch, she's, and I love how her in-ring game has changed. Now she's being a lot more aggressive. She's being a lot more, what's the right word I'm looking for? I'm trying to find the right terminology. She's taking the initiative with her offense, right? And I mean, she's not going for it in such a way, or at least leading up into this match, she wasn't looking for, okay, while the ref is distracted, I'm now just gonna, you know, no, she hasn't gone that route, but she is being a lot more vicious compared to Becky Lynch, you know, way before Charlotte even came back, right? So I love that from the psychological standpoint, the way that she's going about her in-ring psychology with this new demeanor that's come about in the character. I love how her psychology is. Yeah. I would say Proto's kind of got it heelish. I would kind of sum it up like that. Yeah. And I love that the whole desperation is just coming at Becky, because remember what was implanted in her mind going into this event, which is, hey, you maybe have held the SmackDown championship for blah, 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 but look, this is the first time that you've held it in 2 years. You look at how long I've held championships. You look at how many times I've been able to win matches. The one time I face you, that could be it. You know, your reign could be over just like that before it even began. So with that notion in the back of Becky Lynch's head, you kind of saw throughout this match a little bit of desperation to do everything humanly possible to put this match in the books, right? Like, okay, I just got to hurry up. And we kept seeing that Charlotte just kept coming back, you know, and Becky gets to that point where it's like, what the hell do I have to do to put this girl down? And closing moments of the match, Becky Lynch gets so desperate as Charlotte Flair has applied the figure 8. And Becky's like, she has the title. She did manage to bring the title with her. It's coming back to me now. You guys got to forgive me if I'm kind of jumping around just a little bit. But I remember at one point, Becky just decided, okay, she's beating my ass too much. The hell with Charlotte. Or as Becky Lynch likes to say it, and you know what, I've heard many women say the bitch word, but there's just something about the way Becky says it. Just, oh my God, I love it. I don't know if it's the accent, the tone, the coldness of it. I don't know what it is, but there was just something in particular about the way she says it that just, oh, I love the way, I want to see that become a t-shirt. I don't know if WWE will do that, at least not right now, with it being Breast Cancer Awareness Month and they're fresh off with Connor's cure and all that. I don't really think that would be a wise decision right now. Yeah, but I would be one of the first to buy a Becky Lynch shirt that just said batch. You know, I would love that. But no, we see her at one point. She just says the hell with Charlotte, and she goes, grabs her title, and looks like she's getting ready to just settle for a count out. But Charlotte comes after her. Fighting continues. Eventually, Charlotte gets her in the ring, somehow applies the figure 8, but that SmackDown Women's title is in the ring, and conveniently, right when Becky Lynch is about to tap out, and she kind of remembers where she had that belt, grabs it, and just, you know, it's just kind of the way she hit Charlotte with the belt. I personally felt that the referee did not need to ring the bell. You know, it's almost, if I was to use an analogy, and this isn't a long analogy, so you guys got to bear with me, but those of you cats that have your significant other, it's almost kind of like you come out of the shower and, you know, you just walk up to your girl and you just go flop, flop. And she's like, what the hell are you doing? And you're just, nothing. Flop, flop. You know, it was almost kind of like that. So basically, Becky Lynch just takes, you know, the little tail end of the strap, and it's just kind of like flop, flop, and it hits Charlotte on the arm or whatever. And the referee just decides, no, DQ, no, oh my, oh. And it's like, no, let the match continue. She really didn't hit her. She's okay. Like, I can understand it if Becky, you know, is grabbing that center plate part of the title and she just manages to hit Charlotte over the head with it, then yes, that warrants a, you know, call the bell. That's a disqualification. But to just take you got to watch it if you didn't catch it the first go round. She just basically takes a little piece of the strap, tail end of the strap, and it's just flop, flop on the arm, and it's like DQ. It's like, get that out of here. But regardless, they had a good match. They had a damn good match. We actually saw a spot for my man Elias with Kevin Owens. Elias actually did a nice acoustic rendition of Thunderstruck. He pretty much just did the chord opener. I loved it. And I mean, my timeline on Twitter was just blowing up. Like, it was awesome seeing how many people are familiar with the AC/DC catalog. And they're like, oh my God, AC/DC, Thunderstruck, Thunderstruck, Thunderstruck. It's like all I kept seeing on my timeline. So that was like pretty fucking awesome that Elias did that. And pretty much just getting the crowd ready, getting them nice and worked up. We did not see Lio Rush. Lio Rush did not make the trip here to Australia. So no Gilligan, as I have been dubbing him for the past couple of weeks. No Gilligan on this trip. However, we did see a leaner, a more full set of hair version of John Cena. It was John Cena himself, but he had a full set of hair. As long as I've been watching John Cena in the WWE, watch him come up through OVW and all that, like, that was probably all my years watching that guy. I would have to say that's the most hair I've ever seen on his head. That has to be the most hair I've ever seen. And he was a lot smaller. I mean, still well defined, nice good build, but a lot leaner, not as bulkier, not as veinier as previous years. And Renee Young had brought it up a couple of times, and it actually made me want to do a little bit of research and find out what's been going on with the man. But she alluded to it a couple of times, which is he's actually out in China filming a movie with Jackie Chan. And I wasn't even aware of this, just to kind of give you guys a little bit of context. Now, look, John Cena, you already know he's doing the Transformers spinoff Bumblebee. John Cena's already recently said in an interview he would love to do nothing more than team up with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and try to somehow be involved in the Fast and Furious franchise. And I like that. I like that because basically what John Cena is trying to say, hey, I want to get some of that good payday money and look at where my career is going. I think I can get to that point, but I need Dwayne. I need Dwayne's connections. I need his blessing. I need him to help take me to that next level. So that's kind of cool that John Cena's like, you know, I like that. I respect that. I respect that. You always got to be evolving because sooner or later you can't keep doing that stuff in the ring forever. You got to think about an exit strategy, right? That's just how it is in life in general, especially if you're a musician, you're an athlete. You always got to think about, hey, this could end tomorrow. What are you going to do for the rest of your life? How are you going to make money? So, but yeah, John Cena, so he's got the Bumblebee spinoff that's in the works. But he apparently this movie with Jackie Chan, from what I was able to see here. Oh, and also John Cena film news. He's also taken over for Dwayne Johnson in the role of Paul Jansen in the Robert Ludlum novel adaptation of the Jansen Detective. Okay. And so as far as the Jackie Chan joint, looks like, what's the name of this movie here? I'm trying to see what's the name of this. 1 minute ahead. Ah, here we go. I scrolled down to the way at the bottom here. Okay. So it looks like the name of this movie, does it have a title yet? Doesn't look like it has a working title yet. It's titled Project X. This is being reported by THR. It's supposedly an action thriller from writer Arj Amil, and it sees Jackie Chan's character as a private security contractor called in to extract the workers from a Chinese oil refinery in the Middle East when it comes under attack. So after that goes down, it looks like to toward the dastardly plan to steal liquid gold, Jackie Chan's contractor will team up with an American and former Marine played by John Cena. So that gives you a little bit of context as far as what's going on with that one. So, and remember, John Cena is replacing Sylvester Stallone, because it was actually supposed to be Sylvester Stallone teaming up with Jackie Chan for this one, but Stallone backed out. So that's how John Cena was able to enter. But yeah, man, that hair, I mean, everybody online was going, my God, dude's pushing the JBL hair. Like, what the hell is going on there? I mean, it was almost a crossbreed of JBL, Marty McFly from Back to the Future trilogy, you know, almost kind of Christian Bale-ish type of hair from Batman Begins, if you will. That was some interesting hair. Let me tell you. I don't know what was more interesting. John Cena has really surprised the hell out of me these past couple of weeks, and I don't know what's been more surprising: his current physique, the hair, or the fact that my man has been out there in China for 3 months and he has been learning Mandarin. And there is a video, I'm not sure how many of you guys are aware of it, but do yourselves a favor if you have not checked it out yet. Check up on John Cena speaking Mandarin. Like, one of the latest videos that he puts out, he's actually talking about some chili sauce or something like that, some type of sauce that he puts on his meat, his vegetable, and he's talking for like about 2 minutes, nothing but straight up Mandarin. And luckily there's like a translation, and you're going, wow, this guy really has his Mandarin down. I mean, I was quite impressed with the guy. But you know, getting back to this matchup, the psychology for this matchup, it was a no-brainer, which was basically, okay, Bobby Lashley, keep him at a disadvantage from tagging in John Cena. Numbers game. And that's exactly what Elias, Kevin Owens had did for most of the match. The match kind of felt like it was almost maybe 11 minutes long. But by the time John Cena got in there, and anybody that was expecting John Cena to do a lot more than what he did in that match, I have something to say with regards to that in a few seconds. But the moment that John Cena gets tagged in, you kind of felt, okay, well, this is going to be the end, right? As far as the match itself. And sure enough, eventually Bobby Lashley, he kept getting the numbers game on him. Eventually he did get the hot tag in to John Cena. And pretty much that was it. John Cena basically shoulder tackle, another shoulder tackle, 5-knuckle shuffle. You can't see me. Attitude adjustment. Oh, well, new move. Don't even ask me to pronounce what the hell they had said, because they said it twice. I'm not going there. I'm going to go with what WWE had initially said a couple of weeks ago. And they said it was lightning fist. I'm just going to dub it as that. I didn't particularly care for that move that he did, but I tell you what, that was one lame ass move I saw him do. It was lame as hell, but that pretty much was it. Now, for those that were upset that John Cena didn't go much longer, like at least match the length that Bobby Lashley was in that ring taking the ass whooping. He was looking good for the first couple of minutes. I'll definitely give him that. The reason why you saw John Cena in there and pretty much in and out, you got to remember he's still filming this movie with Jackie Chan, and I think he's getting ready to film something else, or he was in the middle of filming something else as well. So, you know, it's kind of like, think about what went down with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Remember that one time a couple of years back, and he had wrestled and he injured himself, and as a result of that, that kind of hurt the production a bit, because like every day that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson was out, that cost money. So 9 times out of 10, that's probably why you didn't see John Cena do a lot more. I'm sure that John Cena probably could have taken physically a lot more. He probably would have been willing to do a lot more. But once you start doing contract deals like that with movies, and they're very, very squeamish when they hear, wait a minute, you're getting ready to go do what? And you're doing it with whom? And this involves you taking what type of bumps? And how are you going to be landing exactly? You know, well, what does this mean for, well, what happens if you know, unless it's a situation where the production company goes, okay, well, look, you know, sign this waiver, because, you know, if you get injured, we want to be off the hook. We don't want you saying that this happened, you know, under our watch, because it ain't. It's happening while you're off doing XYZ, you know. So, yeah, I must admit, I was a little bit disappointed. Yes, the one time in the history of this show that I actually feel a little disappointed that we didn't get a lot more John Cena. And it follows up on a tweet that I had put out earlier with the conclusion of this, and I'll get to that in a second. Let's stick to the rest of this match. John Cena, pretty much after the victory, gets a microphone, and he pretty much tells the crowd, and actually let me pull up my notes here. I didn't do it word for word. It just, you know, a couple of key bullet points here. But basically, post-match, John Cena, he said, you know, look, I'll never forget where I came from. WWE, it is and will always be my home. Not really sure what the future holds, but I know what's going on right here in the present. And right now, I'm in front of you guys, 70,000 plus strong. And I just want to take this time out to say thank you. Thank me for welcoming me into your home, you know, into your territory. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to entertain for you guys. You know, much love. And that pretty much was it. He kept it nice and classy. And it follows up on a tweet that I had put out right after this, and I pretty much had summarized it. And the way I felt looking at John Cena, you know, it's like, okay, we've seen this with the Hulkster. We've seen this with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. We've seen this to a certain degree with Chris Jericho. We've seen this to a certain degree with Triple H. We've seen this to a certain degree with CM Punk. You know, all your favorites. Eventually it gets to that point where they phase out and it's, okay, next man up. Now, I don't want people to be like, oh, well, Jericho and Triple H, they're still, no, it's not quite, you know what I'm saying? It's not quite what it used to be. That's the point that I'm making, right? And eventually it gets to that situation where, okay, next man up. Who's going to be that next generation that's going to take the company like these guys did and usher on into the next decade or whatever? And yeah, it's kind of sad. I feel a little bad for Cena from the standpoint of, you know, you look at him, the man can still go. The man, I mean, he looks like he has at least 7 more years in him, but at the same time, you know, he's not exactly young. I mean, he's still a pretty young man, but you get the point that I'm making. And sometimes I just look at Cena and I just kind of go, you know, and at the same time, I'm happy that he's taking on new challenges and he's moving on to that next stage in his career post wrestling. But sometimes, I don't know, for some weird reason, John Cena just really kind of made me take a step back and go, wow, you know, here we are once again, the changing of the guard, passing on to the next generation. Only, big difference is only, you know, with this current generation, there isn't exactly, well, we got, yay, yeah, we'll be all right. You know, it feels a lot different. It feels rather still empty. And I like what Shane is saying in the chat. Main event rocked. Great storytelling. Yeah. Oh, you're talking about the main event? Yeah, Shane, we talked about that to kick off the show. I thought Shane was talking about the, you know, as far as the former stars and all that of yesteryear goes and everything. Forgive me for that, guys. But yeah, you know, it's just weird because you have this whole changing of the guard and it's always okay. You know, you can't really, yeah, it sucks, but next man up, only this go around with this current generation of talent in the WWE. I mean, don't get me wrong, because I don't want to come off like I'm taking a crap on the current roster. I mean, there's a lot of great talent, the best roster, you know, in quite some time, you know, but there's, you know, where's that next Rock? Where's that next Stone Cold? Where's that next CM Punk? Where's that next Triple H? Where's that next Jericho? Right? Where's that next? I know I'm going to say this when people are going, wait, what? I actually thought he was pretty good. Where's that next JBL, you know? And I'm just not that shaky ground. That's the best way I can use that. I'm kind of not too sure what the future holds for the WWE. I mean, we'll see. I mean, money continues to come in and everything. And, you know, the way the company is going to spend it, well, hey, we're bringing in all this money, so we're doing something right. What do we know, right, guys? Anyway, hope you're enjoying the show so far. If you are, make sure you give a thumbs up. And if you haven't done so already, do subscribe so you never miss out on all the great content that comes your way on a weekly basis. Come on, man. Let's go ahead. We got to get into some more of these matches here. All right, so we got a couple more to talk about. Next one, we had a weird, of all the times to do an advertisement, we had a weird spot for some Australia food dish thingamajigga. 4 and 20, it's always time, pie time, basically meat pies, you know, not no fruit. Apple, cherry, I'm talking about meat, you know, chicken, ground beef, you know, meat pies, you know. And weird time for an ad placement this was, I felt, because we had saw Naomi, she comes into, I guess, home, and there's rose petals, like, as soon as she enters, and it's just, oh, this is nice, and she's following it, and it leads to her husband, basically, in the tub, bubbles and everything, just suds all over the place, and he's eating one of these 4 and 20 pies, and he's going, oh, hey babe, I wasn't expecting you home. And it's kind of like, I just couldn't help but look at that in facepalm, because I felt that that was so goddamn cheesy, and at the same time I couldn't help but go, brother, if you're spending that much damn time making love to that meat pie like that, maybe you need to file for a divorce. Like, seriously, ain't that much loving a meat pie in the world, man. We had our fifth matchup. Samoa Joe taking on AJ Styles for the WWE Championship. Guys, I gotta tell you, there were a lot of other podcasts that jumped out there and they were like, oh, Samoa Joe's, he's got to get this. This is his time. Like, surely, yeah. I was on that bandwagon myself, man. And, you know, I've kind of gotten to that point. Just peep this out next time. Peep this out next time going forward. I noticed that whenever it comes to the WWE Heavyweight Championship, Universal Championship, like, I always notice that when a WWE video game is getting ready to come out, typically whoever the male heavyweight champion or champions are, usually the titles don't leave their waist. I don't know if you guys have kind of picked up that pattern. I thought that maybe that pattern was going to break, but you know, I mean, it's safe to say that at this point, AJ Styles may be holding on to this championship until SmackDown goes over to Fox. That very well could be the situation right here. I mean, I was really pulling for Samoa Joe. I thought for sure that Joe was going to be able to come into this and just, from the storyline standpoint, the psychology that he's been using to really get in AJ's head, to really screw him up. I really felt that Joe was going to get this. And he did not. And it sucks because I'm constantly reminded of the Samoa Joe WWE Network special. And Joe was talking about when he came to the WWE, how one of the first conversations that he had, it was with, I think, Triple H and a couple of other cats. And, you know, basically the thing that was said to him was, look, now, Vince is one of those guys. I'll tell you up front now, you being a world heavyweight champion, you know, you can kind of pretty much forget about that because you're kind of up there in age. So, and Joe just kind of had this look on his face like, they don't really know what the hell I'm about, do they? They're going to be changing their mind real quick when they see what I'm able to do. And I honestly had felt that, okay, if you don't do it now, then when? You know, when do you do it? This was very weird. This was tough to swallow because who isn't a Samoa Joe fan? Especially if you followed his work in Impact Wrestling, and the moment you heard that he was coming over to the WWE, you're like, oh, all right, finally, Joe made the move. He's going to get his just due. Just wait and see. And just, I love the way that they've been booking Joe. I mean, they've made him a beast. I mean, can we be in agreement? The tail end of his run in TNA, Impact Wrestling, it was the shits. And for basically WWE to, okay, we need to get you back to basics. We need to get you back to that Samoa Joe that we remember seeing that went head to head with Kurt Angle when he got up in there and he headbutted the hell out of you. We need to go back to that Samoa Joe rather than this weird Samoa Joe that had tattoo on half his face and he got kidnapped, and I don't know if they did deliverance on his ass or what, but the next time we see him, he's got half his face tattooed and he's walking around with a machete trying to chop off people. It's the weirdest time in Samoa Joe's career. But for me, you know, and then to add insult to injury, to see the way Samoa Joe loses. I mean, don't get me wrong, guys. Of all the matches, I love this match. For some people, this match might have been a little bit too long, but I love that good old school technical in-ring psychology. And that was a Crash Course 101 match as far as I was concerned. I loved it. I saw a couple of people and I felt the same way. when we all were watching this event. It was like, hey, doesn't this remind you of when we were kids and we were watching Saturday morning or Saturday afternoon wrestling? It's like, yeah, you know, it does have shades of that. And, you know, we would see some of our favorite stars just tearing it up, and watching Styles and AJ, I had a big smile on my face. I was loving these guys going at it. And I love how pretty much towards the end, in what ultimately had set up Samoa Joe losing, I love how at one point we had saw that spot with the table that was set up, and what happened? I think AJ sent Samoa Joe through the table, but like Joe's leg, part of his leg went through the table, if I remember it right. If my memory's a little bit fuzzy, you guys in the chat, I'll definitely have to rely on you guys, help me out. But, you know, once we saw that spot and Samoa Joe's favoring his knee, I think it was his left knee, he's going, oh my God, no, I heard, I think it popped. Wait a minute. And to see AJ, calm, cool, collected AJ would normally go, oh, hey, is he all right? Is he going to be able to continue? I'm going to wait right here, and you tell me now. You tell me if he can continue. Because if he can continue, I want this match. Nah, AJ just basically grabbed that referee. It's okay. It's okay. You done your part. You just stay over here. And he just laid into that goddamn leg. I love that. Why show mercy? Because this guy did not show any mercy when he came up to your home, rang the doorbell and all that. No. It's like go all out on his ass. I loved it, but I love those what was it, 3-4 times that Samoa Joe was looking for the Coquita clutch. And you're like, oh, this has to be it. It's like each time it's like closer and closer. And somehow AJ just managed to continue to get out of them. Right? And then basically everything culminates with that leg. AJ, he homes in on that leg, does the calf crusher, and pretty much makes Samoa Joe tap out in the middle of the ring. So, I mean, there's no wiggle room for Samoa Joe. There is no controversy. There is no, oh, well, it's like, nah, brother. This was like pretty much anything goes. Anything goes. You want to bring in a table? We can do that. You want to bring in a barbed wire bat? You can do that. You want to bring in a steel chair? Want to bring in a ladder? You can do that too. Anything goes in this matchup, right? So to see Samoa Joe lose the way that he lost, you're kind of going, well, shit. What happens with Samoa Joe now? And I was the first of many other people that were saying the same thing earlier months, which was Samoa Joe champion. Nah, he keeps getting injured. But something to me just kind of felt like, well, maybe this is different this go round. Maybe something's changed. Maybe he's actually going to get a run. Honestly, if you don't do it now, when are you going to do it? Like, it almost feels like never, unless you maybe have him win the title off of Daniel Bryan. That kind of brings us to our next matchup. I actually wasn't going to talk about it till much later, but we might as well go into that one. Miz had took on Daniel Bryan. You talk about a what the fuck. I was ready for another classic encounter between these guys. When I say classic encounter, what I'm really saying is I was ready to see these two men really crank it up to that next level, because I really didn't care for what went down with them last time, and their wives were involved. I think honestly that was just done to try to put some spice into it. You know, it's like you're making your favorite pot of chili and you're going, the chili is almost there. It's almost there, but it's missing something. I need something else. I need a couple of more key ingredients to make it really delicious. And them just throwing in the wives just kind of felt like, well, this recipe between Daniel Bryan and Miz is it's bland. It's a little boring. Let's jazz it up a little bit. I don't know. Put some cheese on that bitch. Maybe that'll help it out or whatever, right? So this match, I think it was even God, was this match even 4 minutes, guys? Because I literally remember blinking, taking a leak, coming back, and the match was over. And pretty much, like, you get Miz, he enters. Daniel Bryan enters. I remember that much. And then, like, right before the ref could call for the bell, like, his hand was about to say, ring the bell, Miz just goes, jumps the hell out of Miz. And you're going, wait a minute, what the hell? And Miz is just going in on those injured ribs of Daniel Bryan, because remember, Shelton Benjamin did a really good number on him on this Tuesday SmackDown. So Miz is just going in for those ribs. I mean, setting him up beautifully. And Miz is actually on the offense for a bit. But then all of a sudden, we see Miz, he's getting ready to go for the skull crushing finale, when all of a sudden Miz, like, whew, I don't know what the hell happened there, but it looked as though it was going to be stone crushing finale. But Daniel Bryan quickly turns that into a roll up pin. 1, 2, 3. That's pretty much it. Now, Corey Graves, he's like, I'm not really sure about that. Can we see it from a different angle? And one of the angles that they showed, Corey's like, it's kind of hard to tell if we can maybe see it from another angle. So the fact that Corey Graves said that not once but twice, I'm kind of under the impression that maybe, just maybe, when we get to SmackDown this week, the footage will show that Miz kicked out in time. And who knows, maybe it's going to be a situation where it's going to be Daniel Bryan and Miz again, but then maybe Miz is going to use some type of cheap, dirty tactics to advance. And but I mean, I doubt that it's going to happen, because pretty much as soon as the winner was announced for this one, because remember the stakes that was at hand for this one, whoever won this match was going to become the #1 contender to face the WWE champion, which is AJ Styles. They're going to face him at Crown Jewel for the title. So it's going to be Daniel Bryan, AJ Styles. I mean, that should be, nothing would be more fucking satisfying for me than to see that. I mean, who wouldn't want to see that in 2018? Daniel Bryan, AJ Styles. Yeah, sign me up. Yeah, let's go there. But still, you're kind of going, wait a minute. And I got to give a shout out to Corey Graves. At one point, there was much earlier during the event, some spot went down and his monitor got taken out, if I'm not mistaken. And as a result of that, Corey Graves, check this out. If you guys did not watch the event yet, or maybe you plan on watching it again, but peep this observation out that I noticed. Once his monitor got taken out, for a couple of matches, Corey Graves was actually just looking dead on in the ring, looking at the action, and just off the cuff, he was right there. It was good. I was like, wow. I mean, just to basically see his brain move, you know, because you have those commentators, and you will notice this once his monitor is gone, but Renee and Michael Cole, they still have theirs. They're basically sharing the same monitor. So you see Cole and Renee, their heads are down, and they're probably looking at the monitor, and 9 times out of 10, they're looking at a script and bullet points or whatever, and they're making sure they're in the right location. Corey Graves is just looking straight on. He's not even looking down. He's just looking straight on. And whatever's coming to his mind, he's just saying it just like that. I love that. I wish we could see a lot more of that. For those of you that may be a little bit curious as far as how Renee Young did tonight. Renee Young did okay. Nothing really spectacular, nothing really, you know, I personally felt, you know, and I'm not dogging Renee Young now. I'm just saying she really didn't bring anything there wasn't anything of significance. So I'm still kind of getting that impression that she's in the learning tree phase, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? I'm just very curious how she's going to be rolling in a couple of weeks when she pretty much has to take the lead for that Evolution pay-per-view. So as far as now, look, I have an idea of how she's going to be because I've been watching the Mae Young Classic every single week. And in case you guys don't know, over on patreon.com/RCWR Show, I actually do a bonus Wednesday edition of the RCWR Show. So on top of doing the Tuesday streams that you guys get on YouTube, Spreaker, and on the downloads, you also get a Wednesday edition that talks about the Mae Young Classic, and that gets sprinkled in with some other nice little tidbits of news, right? Check it out. You get access to that and other great bonus audio video content, just $5 a month. Check it out, patreon.com/RCWR Show. Great stuff. But, you know, the observation that I made about Corey Graves earlier, you know, that's not, I just want to make sure I clarify, because I know Corey Graves kind of ruffled the feathers of some people off and on the past couple of weeks, because there's some things that he'll say and some people will look at him a certain way on social media. Me commending the man for basically being able to, okay, off the cuff, go. You ain't got no monitor, you ain't really got no script, so come on, until you get readjusted, you got to bring it. And, you know, it kind of made me wonder, okay, well, how much more often is Corey Graves just able to, without a script, and he's just, because the era of pro wrestling that I grew up on the era of pro wrestling where you didn't have commentators that were constantly looking at a monitor. They were actually looking at the ring, and, you know, everything was in their head. Like, they already knew about certain little spots. Some of them might have had a little piece of paper for Triple H versus Stone Cold, and, you know, they had down like 5 fucking bullet points, and maybe at the bottom they had to make sure that those 5 bullet points somehow connected to hyping up their match at the next pay-per-view or whatever. But they would just be looking at, you know, and maybe you could say, you know, hey, up next Triple H is taking on Brooklyn Brawler. Here's these 5 points. Now at one point, Brooklyn Brawler's knee is going to get messed up, and Triple H is just going to be like a damn rabbit Wolverine, and he's going to be focusing on that knee for the rest of the match once he sees he, you know, basically smells blood or whatever, right? And you're kind of like, oh, okay. I'm not saying that Corey Graves is, you know, the best freaking color commentator of all time. I'm not saying that. So Daniel, who wants to be like Gordon Sully, bro, you're talking to somebody that grew up on pro wrestling in the 80s, man. Okay, I'm gonna say Gordon Sully every fucking day of the week. I see what you said about Corey Graves, and it's like, whatever beef you got with Corey Graves, that's between you, dude. All I'm saying is, the color commentators that I grew up on, they could just basically look at the action. They have their 5 bullet points down on a piece of paper, and they could just go like that. Whereas somebody like a Renee Young, you know, sadly, it's not quite there for her, you know, just yet. But I think that she will get there in due time. All right, she's showing the passion, she's showing the dedication to it and everything. And I'll tell you somebody else that's actually coming along pretty good too. On a side note, since I've been watching the Mae Young Classic, I got to give it up to Beth Phoenix. I mean, it seems like each episode that's been coming around, Beth Phoenix has been coming into her own more and more. And if I'm not mistaken, she's going to be with Renee for the Evolution pay-per-view. So I can't wait to see where they are now in real time versus what we've seen of them during the Mae Young Classic, because as you all know, Mae Young Classic, that was filmed, you know, a couple of months ago now that it had went down. So, all right, let's go to our next matchup. We only got a couple of more, guys. We only got 3 more, and then we're pretty much done. Let's go. Bella Twins. Ronda Rousey taking on Liv Morgan, Sarah Logan, and the Jessica Jones of the WWE, Ruby Riott. Boy, I tell you, after what had went down with Brie Bella and Daniel Bryan jumping out there, and they basically tag teamed and said that people that were saying negative things about Brie Bella, it was a form of cyberbullying. Yeah, cyberbullying. That's a whole other topic for another time, but there is an excerpt that I had uploaded to YouTube that you guys can check out when this is done if you want a little bit more with regards to that topic. But Australia, they definitely had let the Bellas hear it. I mean, you heard mildly some cheers, but mostly boos for the Bella Twins, and in particular, Brie Bella. Brie Bella was not really loved and appreciated in Australia. So, yeah. I thought the match was average. Yeah, honestly, it felt like a Raw match. It did not feel anything spectacular. Way freaking short. I mean, pretty much. Brie did not mess up, for those of you that might have been curious too. At least not that I'm aware of. If she did do something wrong, I don't know nothing about it, because I'm not looking at Brie Bella going, fail, fail, fail. I'm not doing that with Brie. But I didn't notice that she did anything weird. But this match pretty much was over, like, God, it felt like 5 minutes, honestly. Ronda Rousey pretty much had grabbed Liv Morgan and Sarah Logan by their respected arms. Gave both of them a fucking judo throw, and then put both of them in armbar submission. Yes, both women were put in armbar submission holds, and they both tapped out at the same time. Bella Twins came in just, oh, you did it, you did it, and you're thinking, soon, where is the somebody gonna attack somebody? Like, what's going on here? Didn't happen yet, but one thing that was announced and stressed is that Ronda will be defending her women's title at the Crown Jewel pay-per-view on November 2nd. As far as who the opponent is going to be, nobody knows. The Shadow knows. Hopefully we'll know very shortly. I would imagine that all of that is going to start materializing coming up, maybe with Raw or whatnot, because I mean they got to start planting the seed sooner or later. So curious to see how that's going to come about with Raw. Damn good cruiserweight matchup, man. I gotta give my man Murphy, god damn, that dude has come a long way, man. Murphy had took on Cedric Alexander for the cruiserweight title, and god damn, was that a really good matchup. You know, when I first saw Blake, I kind of was going, wait a minute now, wait a minute. Is that freaking Kurt Hawkins? Because I literally looked at him like, that's not Murphy. Like, that's Kurt Hawkins. And I had to look again, and I'm going, holy crap. Yeah, that is Murphy. I'm like, wow, he's changed a lot. And you guys got to forgive me, because I'm still kind of shocked just thinking about it. But Buddy Murphy, I remember watching him. I remember watching Wesley Blake. I remember watching both of those guys in NXT when they were with Alexa Bliss. And she was still kind of in that little cheerleader, but kind of a sparkly phase. And, you know, I'm like, I'm looking at them and I'm going, okay, of the two, who looks like, and I kind of felt as though Murphy was the one, you know, people should have their eyes on. And so I have not been watching 205. I gotta be honest with you. Last time I gave two shits about 205 was when Enzo was running around as the Cruiserweight champion. So I have not tuned in. I know that they've got Rockstar Spud over there now. That I haven't cared for it. So to see where Buddy Murphy is now, I mean, he's changed physically. I mean, his whole demeanor, even his in-ring style and all that. I love what he was bringing in this match against Cedric Alexander. Very explosive, very energetic. I love the fact that the Australia crowd was really feeding into him. You know, I sadly have not been watching 205, so I don't know if the crowd in the States are that passionate about Murphy as the Australia crowd was earlier this morning. But I'm definitely going to be checking out the next couple of 205s because I'm very curious now. One, how he does as champion, type of reactions that he gets. And, you know, it's been a good minute since I've seen the 205 rosters, since they were mainly showing up. Excuse me, since they were mainly showing up on Raw. So congrats to Buddy Murphy, though. I mean, just from his days in NXT, there was a couple of periods there where I got to be honest, I didn't think he was going to make it. I honestly did not think he was going to make it. I thought that maybe he was going to be on the chopping block, given that pink slip sooner or later. And it's nice to see that he's been able to continue to hang in there. I know there was a period there where he was injured, but, you know, honestly, I thought that both of those guys were not going to make it. But to see the transformation, the dedication that Murphy has been making for himself, you know, that's really good. Now, sadly, you know, because I know some people are going to be like, well, what about Wesley Blake? What do you think about Wesley Blake, Lee? What do you think about him? And, you know, he's okay. You know, he's okay, but I'm still not. For me, Murphy is still the man. He's still the guy, as far as I'm concerned. But surprisingly, that Cruiserweight matchup, that was the match. And one other note I should make about that Cruiserweight match was, what was the statistic that they put out there, guys? If I'm not mistaken, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I am reading what you guys are saying in the chat, but if I'm not mistaken, they said that Cedric Alexander had been undefeated for all of 2018. I think that was the stat that I heard. So you're kind of left with the impression that maybe Cedric Alexander may now kind of go the heel route, because he could not stand the fact that the crowd were not reacting to him and that they were reacting more to Murphy. You kind of noticed it from the minute that he came out. You know, you hear his music playing and nobody's really getting on their feet, cheering him on, and he's kind of forcing them to cheer for him. He's putting the ear, hey, I'm out here, hey, I can't hear you, you know. But Murphy, you know, he's the one that gets the freaking reaction and everything. And at one point during the match, Alexander was on the offense, and you're going, okay, all right, you kind of got him where you wanted, but he kind of came off distracted, really taken off by the reactions that Murphy was getting, and kind of seemed he came off a little bit standoffish, a little bit selfish. So I'm wondering if those mannerisms that we had saw, I know it's like way too early, but you can't help but wonder if maybe he's potentially going to tease that heel route. If maybe WWE is doing that with Alexander. Personally, I've seen his work in ROH and all that, and I thought he did pretty damn good as a heel. So I would have no problem if Alexander kind of went the heel route. But I mean, you know that these two guys are going to be locking up again. You know Alexander's going to have a rematch coming up. So, but yeah, hats off to those guys. Great matchup. One more match to talk about, and that was, and you notice all the matches that we talked about so far, isn't it a damn shame that the WWE Universal title, it did not get defended on this card, because at this point, November 2nd, Crown Jewels, right? But you did have the WWE Championship. And sadly, that did not close out the pay-per-view. You know why? I want to make this point. And please don't take this the wrong way. But if you are the type of individual that says always, oh, I miss the Attitude Era. The Attitude Era was the best time in professional wrestling. I love the Attitude Era. Oh my God, Kane. Oh my God, The Undertaker. Woo, Stone Cold Steve Austin. What? Triple H. Chris Jericho. The Rock. You smell what he's cooking. Oh, APA. Oh, man, I love the Attitude Era. I miss the Attitude Era. That was the best era there was around, man. This new generation of wrestling from WWE, it's crap, man. I can't stand it. Ugh. If you talk like that, please do me and everybody else a favor. When you're talking about how much you miss the Attitude Era and all that other jazz, and you get an Attitude Era match that closes out a pay-per-view when really it should be about one of those heavyweight championships that's held by AJ or Roman, that should be closing out the pay-per-view. Let's be for real. That's really what should have closed out the pay-per-view. But instead, it's the Attitude Era, right? Please, for the love of God, I'm tired of hearing Attitude Era, Attitude Era, Attitude Era. I miss it, I miss it, I miss it. And then say, oh man, that championship ain't getting no love. What the hell, WWE? What you guys doing? That's so wrong. Oh, that's fucked up. You're the same people that are saying you missed the Attitude Era. You're the same people that's telling WWE, give me more Attitude Era content, right? So you keep saying that, and WWE's kind of going, oh, well, we always kind of have to be on the lookout for the Attitude Era because the people, Attitude Era. That's what they want, Attitude Era, right? Somebody had brought to my attention a couple of weeks ago, they were like, Lee, isn't it sad what's going on with the WWE Championship? Not the Universal Championship, but the actual championship itself. Trace the history of that belt. Dude, when was the last time that belt closed out a pay-per-view? And I think I had talked about it maybe a couple of weeks ago on the show, but I remember I did some digging and I was like, I said, I don't even want to, if I were to guess, I want to say it was maybe 5 years ago that when you trace the history of that WWE Championship on SmackDown, when you trace this history, any other title other name that it possibly may have been called, just that title that's on SmackDown, when you trace its respected history, you almost have to go back 5 years to the last time that it was closing out a pay-per-view, right? So, look, I get it. I get it, guys. There are those of you that's like attitude, and WWE is catering to that. But then you're like, oh, but this belt, why isn't it closing out? It's like they say you can't have it both ways, but I think you can have it both ways. I think that you can, to a certain degree, have your Attitude Era, but you still gotta pay it forward and set up the younger guys that's currently the face of your product that's pushing your respected brand, right? That's just how I personally feel. And on a personal note, what's gonna happen, my God, 15 years from now? You can't keep rolling out the Chris Jerichos, the Triple H's, Stone Colds. Did I mention Shawn Michaels already? You can't keep dusting them off. The Jeff Hardys, the Matt Hardys, you can't keep dusting them off. Sooner or later, you have to get to that point where we got to move forward. We just got to. Everything is about evolving. We got to move forward. Yes, we can continue to embrace the past, but we need to be all about what's happening at the present. So I don't know what some of these guys are going to do, because I have some friends, some family members, they are still in that Attitude Era mode, and they can't watch nothing else. They just can't. They just can't, you know. And Almighty, what the hell are you talking about, Almighty? How's the stream doing? Is the stream doing good so far, guys? I'm sorry, did we piss some people off because I said what I had said about Attitude Era and all that? I know, but you know what? I'm not in this to be popular. I'm not in this to be popular. I'm not in this to have my ass kissed. What I say at the end of the day is opinion. That's it. You don't like my opinion? That's cool. Got no problem having a healthy discussion with you about it. Enough said. Last matchup. The Shield. Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns taking on Dolph Ziggler, Braun Strowman, and Drew McIntyre. Good match. Good match. Damn good matchup. I actually loved this. I loved it a lot. I couldn't help but feel a little sorry for Ziggler, because Ziggler was being bossed around by Braun Strowman like the Looney Tunes cartoon, Chester and Spike. You guys know that Chester is the little yellow dog that's, hey Spike, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? And Spike just keeps backhanding the hell out of him, telling him to shut up. That's exactly how Dolph Ziggler has been coming off the past couple of weeks, but it definitely culminated with this match tonight. So every time Braun Strowman gets the tag, he's going in there, and I mean, this guy is just dominating on the offense. Every time Drew McIntyre gets in there, he's handling his business. But when it comes time for when it comes time for Ziggler to get in there, Drew's able to do a little something, but he's not closing his end of the deal. And each time you see Braun Strowman, he's like, get back in there and do it. You know, he's like bossing him around and everything. Because remember, Braun Strowman kind of feels as though Ziggler is the weak link of their unit. So you're keeping that in mind, and you're like, I wonder what's going to happen with poor Ziggler here. Is Ziggler going to be able to make it out of here alive or what? But we saw one point in the match where Roman Reigns accidentally, was it a bump or was it more like a flying fist to the face that he did of Dean Ambrose? Either way, it was an accident that he hit Dean Ambrose, and Dean Ambrose went flying. And you see that spot, you're kind of concerned because you're going, well, what's going to happen now? Is Dean Ambrose going to maybe do something along the lines of go crazy and attack his Shield brothers? Like, is that maybe going to go down? Or is another situation going to occur where, you know, Dean is going to kind of realize that was just an accident? He's not going to be so hot-headed and see it one particular way, but actually, okay, it was an accident or whatnot. And you had a situation where Dean Ambrose had a moment where he could have left Rollins and Reigns to fend for themselves, because it took him a minute to recover from that little incident with Roman Reigns, as it looked as though it was going to be a 2-on-3 beatdown. But then Dean Ambrose, he comes up to the rope, and Ziggler, McIntyre, Strowman, they're actually looking at him and they're going, what's it going to be, man? What you going to do? You with us or you with them? You're like, what you going to do? And Dean Ambrose brought the fight to Strowman. So it's like, okay, so the Shield is still, I don't know why they keep teasing it, but, you know, hey, it's got people talking. So it's got you talking. I get it. So we saw at one point, action goes outside the ring, and Braun Strowman decides he's just going to shoulder tackle the hell out of any and everybody that he sees. I love the way that they actually had booked Braun Strowman, continuing to make him look very strong, dominating. Loved all that they were doing with the man. Also, yeah, he did the shoulder blocks. He did it to a couple of the Shield guys. He was getting ready to do it to Dean Ambrose, I remember, but Roman Reigns kind of redeeming himself for what happened earlier, accidentally hitting Ambrose, and he just freaking speared the hell out of Braun Strowman. They actually went flying through a wall barrier. I mean, freaking ridiculous. It was an insane spot. The spear was so devastating that Braun Strowman actually, when that wall barrier had broke, Braun Strowman, I remember, he actually landed on his face first pretty hard. And you're like, damn, hopefully Braun is okay. But all that nice, good spot. And then we also saw towards the end of the match, Drew McIntyre and Ziggler, they were looking for the zigzag Claymore combination. But then we had saw, God, who was it? I want to say they were trying to maybe do that to Rollins, but Ambrose was able to get in there and save Rollins, and pretty much Rollins fought off McIntyre. Dean basically did the dirty deeds on Ziggler, picked up the 1, 2, 3 for the Shield, and Shield just pretty much embraced each other, and Ambrose looks like he's still there. Thought it was kind of cool that they finally just flat out, the commentators, it was Michael Cole, he flat out asked Renee Young, without saying, hey, Renee, he is your husband after all. Michael Cole just basically said, Renee, if anybody knows about Dean Ambrose, it's you. You know about this man. Like, where is he? Is he truly loyal to the Shield? And Renee Young said something along the lines of, he is one of the most loyal friends that you will ever come across. He's very sincere, very honest. His word is his bond. I believe everything is good. I don't think he's going to leave him hanging, basically, was her message to Cole and the gang. And yeah, and sure enough, at least on this night, Ambrose did not do anything, at least just yet. So overall, I would have to say the Super Showdown, I'm going to say, I hate the whole rating system. 7 stars, 2 stars. I hate that shit. I'm just going to respectfully say that it was an average event. You know, it gets a pass, but I would say it was an average event. Honestly, just looking back on some of the key matches, I would say, looking at some of the key matches, I would have to say the Cruiserweight match definitely was on point. I would also give it up to, there's another one that was good. Styles and Joe, that one was actually pretty damn good. And I got to give it up to the tag match. Tag match was good too. For me, Triple H versus Taker, that was just a little bit too overbooked. I can't really give a nod to that one. It was a little bit too overbooked for me. But out of those 10 matches, the ones that I had mentioned earlier, those are the ones that I would have to say really has stood up to me the most. But it did kind of feel like a glorified house show event. Yeah, if you want to get technical, I know they were like, hey, pay-per-view event, first ever pay-per-view event from Australia, streaming on the network, blah, 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 blah. But I would have to say that this really just felt nothing more than like a glorified house show, yet it kind of had a Summerslam type 2 vibe to it. Quite honestly, there is a tweet that I had put out that's making the rounds, and I would highly recommend you guys go show it some love. I was watching the stream on my TV, and I was watching the stream on my tablet, and at one point, the part where Triple H and Taker were fighting, and Triple H just, yeah, he doesn't know where the hell he is, and Undertaker is just guiding him. You got to see the caption that I had put. It's picking up a lot of steam right now on social media. Also, want to bring to you guys' attention, I do hope that the stream has been on point. I hope that there has not been any type of lag whatsoever, because I had spent several hours messing with the stream, trying to make sure that at least it had an okay status and that there was no buffering issues. I'm still trying to fine tune the stream, so hopefully it was enjoyable for you guys. If not, you can definitely sound off in the comment section below and let me know what's going on. But I hope to have that rectified like completely in the coming days, because it's just when you're trying to learn all this stuff, it's really, ugh. And in case you had missed the announcement, the RCWR show has signed a exclusive deal with Fight TV, and effective this Thursday, which is going to be October the 11th, 9 p.m. Eastern, and every Thursday night around that time, you'll be able to catch exclusive episodes, new episodes of the RCWR show. So really ecstatic for that. Great to be partnering up with Fight TV. These guys, top-notch quality. These guys are fucking awesome. So it's really good that we're pairing up with them. For you WWE 2K19 fans, heads up. I actually had got confirmation yesterday that my limited edition, collector's edition of 2K19 is on its way. And for those of you that play WWE Supercard, do stay tuned. I will be giving you guys an opportunity to get a hold of those new exclusive Supercards that is coming with those collector's editions. So do stay tuned for that one. Poke my head in the chat here, and let me show some love to you guys here, and read off any comments, all that good stuff. And bear with me a second here as I load this up. We're going to take a look at the poll one more time. And yeah, it's sad. It's sad that we got a boatload of people that basically were just trolling the YouTube stream. And they were just like, dislike, 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 you know, because it says review. So it's not like we said full show results, you know, we didn't mislead in any type of way. So people that want to come in and say, oh, you know, this has dislikes because, you know, it's like, no, because people, like always, they don't have common sense. They think they can come on YouTube and they can watch a free pay-per-view, and they don't realize that that's illegal to do. I still receive comments from like some of my most popular review after shows that I did like in previous years that's got like a boatload of views. I still get comments, show the actual pay-per-view, I don't want to see you. And it's like, dude, you're seeing me because it's illegal to post the actual pay-per-view on here. That's like how a YouTube channel gets taken down. It's like you can't stream illegal content without written consent. It's like, quit being a cheap ass. Go pay your $10 and go sign up for the WWE network and check it out that way. Like, come on. You like, seriously? You don't have $10? Seriously, you don't have like a bogus email American account so that you can get a free subscription to the WWE network for a whole month? Like, seriously? I mean, what kind of messed up shit is that, you know? So if you guys, you know, if you checked out this stream via YouTube and you enjoyed the episode, do hit the like button, because ultimately you're encouraging me to continue to bring you good content. And if you continue to dislike, then I mean, honestly, I win either way because you checked out my shit. So like, hate, I'm still gonna sleep good at night because life goes on for me. Shout out to Daniel. Let's see who else we got here. Shout out to Shaba. Who else we got in the chat here? Shout out to, trying to see who else is here in the chat here. Who else we got here? There you are. Shout out to Phoenix. Shout out to Heel. Yeah, Con Weekend. Shout out to Prem Chand. Shout out to wait a minute, who else? Shout out to One Ninja Samurai. And that is gonna do it. So you guys keep the discussions going on, man. I want to know what you guys had thought about the pay-per-view event. We'll definitely follow up on what you guys have to say on Tuesdays, the RCWR show. Oh my God, I almost forgot. We got to give a nod to some of our sponsors and some of our Patreon members, because without them, content like what you're checking out right now would not be free. Shout out to our Patreon members. Courtney Summers, the beautiful and lovely Courtney Summers. Shout out to my good friend Anthony Missionary Thomas, Wrestling Soup. Shout out to John Davis. Shout out to Michael Wolf and Joe Raymond Jr. This edition of the RCWR Show was brought to you in part by nerdabstract.com, your source for all things pop culture, anime, figurines, collectibles, and more. Check them out, nerdabstract.com. Also, coming up October 26th through November 2nd, don't miss out on the Hollywood Initiative. If you're an aspiring actor looking to better your career, learn the essential tools you'll need at the Hollywood Initiative. That's thehollywoodinitiative.com. You can also give the Hollywood Initiative a follow on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram at the Hollywood Initiative. The RCWR Show with Lee Sanders is also brought to you in part by iPayTotal.com and by Sports Hip Hop. If you love sports and hip hop, then you gotta follow Sports and Hip Hop on Facebook and Instagram. These guys are dropping all kinds of great content on a daily basis. Plus, if you are a up-and-coming artist yourself that's looking to get recognized, you can shoot them a direct message or email them at sportshiphop.com@gmail.com. Sports Hip Hop, remember the name and remember who sent you first. We appreciate having the opportunity to work with all of these people, and we appreciate our Patreon members as always. Remember, bonus content online, patreon.com/RCWR Show. Lee Sanders here. Get at me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Twitch. Use keywords, the RCWR Show. And if you did not check out this past week's RCWR Show, I do highly recommend you check that out on demand and on the downloads. Was some really great stuff that we dived into. There's a couple of bonus pieces that's available on YouTube that I uploaded for you fans of Dave Bautista. I finally uploaded the Q&A panel that he did at this past year's Awesome Con just a couple of months ago. It's about 40 minutes. It's just audio only. There's no video. But if you don't mind hearing Dave Bautista, I would highly recommend you check it out. This way you can kind of get ready for the SmackDown 1000. And for you Journey fans, you Steve Perry fans, later this afternoon, Saturday, October 6th, I'll actually be uploading my album review of Steve Perry's new album, Traces. It's his first album in, like, my God, almost 20 freaking years. So be on the lookout for that. And that is going to do it. Until next go around, I am wishing all of you guys to be safe and, most importantly, be kind to one another. You guys be safe, be kind to one another. Very good morning to you guys.